Hopefulness day 28. I don't know how long this is going to be. I started a sourdough starter last night. See how well that goes. Gotta do the whole feeding thing, which is like cut it in half, put in the same amount of stuff as the day before, so on and so on. Yeah. I gotta eat all this today because I didn't realize this one was the one that had the earlier expiration date. Technically, I think it expired, was it 23rd, and I think today's the 25th, so 2 days ago. But the one thing about dairy in general, for the most part, especially if your refrigerator's cold enough, you don't usually have to worry about the expiration date being so hard and fast. You know, like I said in another video, bread is the one that I'll definitely consider for, that's the one I pretty much take at face value. Most other things don't, like, more than anything, it's more kind of like a liability thing. They don't want to get sued. Who knows? So one of the things I'm going to try to do, instead of just throwing out the old starter, I need to put the towel back over it. Instead of just throwing it out, because they want you to discard it and then refeed, discard, refeed, and discard, is I want to try to use it for stuff. Because I don't have a whole lot of flour. I didn't get a really big bag. And 113 grams is quite a bit, and that's the amount that it was suggesting. So, so what I'm going to do is I'll probably take either one of these bowls, or I'll clean out the bigger one, and I'll just discard whatever the half is into the bigger bowl and let that kind of do its own sort of semi-starter situation. But then I'll fridge it so that it just kind of does its thing there. And then when time comes, you know, maybe mix in some, I got some active or dry yeast. And, you know, maybe make some like pizza crust or something like that. So, we'll see. I got up. I went to bed at like 1. And then I got up at like 5:30 because light was still on. Computer was still on because I hadn't unplugged it or anything. So I'm like shutting on the computer, turn off the light, and I'm like, fuck. Because I forgot. That yesterday evening, very late in the evening, I made up some pasta, cooked half of what I've got in here, and then mixed in the remainder of my sauce. Because I was like, well, I gotta at least do that. And then this I can eat all day. And I've done this before, by the way. I've done something like this. Like, eating this much cottage cheese is not, it's not something that I haven't done. So like I said, I've done it before. And in so doing, I mean, this whole thing is just over 1,300 calories for the whole thing. And I ate half of one of these yesterday. More or less half. And like, cottage cheese has been a really big player when it came to me doing the whole weight loss situation, because it's really filling. Great way to, I'll be honest, it's a great way to start the day. Like, wake up, eat, you know, like a cup. I think it's like about a cup. Yeah. One serving is half a cup. So if you do 1 cup, it's 2 servings. It's 220 calories. Let's see, you've got 26 grams of protein. There's virtually no carbs. It says 5. And I mean, that's the associated carbs that are, lactose with regards to the whey and everything. And, there's some sodium here. Like, literally, what is it? Cultured skim milk, cultured cream, whey, salt, potassium chloride, citric acid, carrageenan, guar gum, locust bean gum, cultured dextrose, sorbic acid, maintain freshness, natural flavors, and enzymes. Alright, that's a bit more ingredients than I would generally expect, but overall, it's not horrible. But proteins and fats, and this has what? 3 total saturated fats per, and a total of 5 fats. And then, some cholesterol, but it's whatever. Dietary cholesterol isn't really as much of an issue when it comes to, it doesn't exactly translate 1-to-1 to internal cholesterol. And plus there's 2 types of cholesterol too. There's LDL and HDL. You want your HDL to be high, you want your LDL to be low. And generally speaking, sugars, carbs are the things that cause triglyceride levels to increase, and then also to help sort of stick to other things and help with the cholesterol being a bigger problem. So, you can eat a whole thing of these in one day. No big deal. But like I said, I got up at like 5:30. Phone and computer were still plugged in, still just on. Light was on. Had to put the pasta sauce away, and then I couldn't really sleep. And mine got to racing, and then I ended up, doom scrolling for nearly 2 hours. Because, war in Ukraine. I didn't talk about it yesterday because I didn't want to. Because it's fucked up. I don't really know what to even say. Like, what could I do? What could I say? It doesn't matter. So I said what I said yesterday, and I think that's what mattered. I'll repeat it. Viva Ukraine. Long live Ukraine. Fuck Putin. Fuck Xi, because this is definitely an unfortunate window for China to start an assault on Taiwan because they think that they own Taiwan. Just like fucking Russia thinks they own Ukraine. Fuck Trump for supporting this shit. An idiot. It's a smart idea. It's whatever, fucking asshole. And my heart does go towards the people. I can't do anything about it. I don't know of what I could do. Barely take care of my goddamn self. And then to be able to help not only another person, but another person who is in very much a worse situation. It's that triage situation I would talk about before. It's like, if you have your foot cut off and somebody else has their leg cut off just over the knee, you have to take care of yourself first, because if you try to take care of them, you might bleed out in the process, pass out, and then whatever assistance you tried to do to them, it wasn't going to likely be enough, and then you're both going to end up fucked. And I'm not using that to sort of justify some kind of whatever. It's an unfortunate reality of things. But this is even worse because they're so fucking far away and there's so little that can be done. So, talking about it is really all I can do. Doom scrolling and understanding is pretty much all I can do. And while it does feel, it does make one feel more paralyzed. There's also, you know, some relative good news about it where, you know, certain battalions or groups of Russian soldiers have been, you know, either being captured or they're just giving up. Some of them defecting. And whether it's true or not, the Ghost of Kiev is a badass. Those badasses on Snake Island that all died. Russian warship, go fuck yourself. I think I'll go ahead and title that. You know, it's like, I knew about the Crimean invasion. It wasn't an annexation. It was a fucking invasion. That shit happened. And so little was done. And then, in the midst of fucking pandemic, incompetent leadership, and growing divisiveness, it's basically just, you know, lying in wait. Waiting for your enemy to tear themselves apart so that you can do what you need to do or want to do, whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of psychological warfare going on, and that's, you know, it's one of the big reasons why a lot of this shit's happening. And there are even people who are, you know, complaining that there are people who are in positions of power who are, whether it seems absolutely blatant or not, they're taking Russia's side in this whole situation. And it's like, the fuck's wrong with you? You know? Have you not seen the videos of airplanes flying through what looks like a goddamn neighborhood, shooting off missiles, blowing shit up, and then kids crying in the background? That's fucking war crime, you know? Or how about, you know, an APC running someone over, literally, on the fucking road? And the fact that there is this denazification narrative being tossed around. Like, yeah, we have actual problematic Nazis in our own fucking country. But when you're using it as an excuse, not because it's a real issue, but because it's an excuse to start invading people, then you're dehumanizing the people who did nothing wrong so that you can make your actions more palpable, not only for yourself, but for the people on the ground. Again, it's more psychological warfare. And the specific language that one uses when it comes to, you know, destroying roads and the like, it's done with a certain liability mindset, what we will and won't do. But when you give a lot of people free reign to do whatever the fuck they want, and especially if you start to try to dehumanize the victims to make it seem like either you lay down your arms or you're not just an enemy, you're some sort of monster that needs to be destroyed. You give people reason to not only behave horribly, but then making choices of their own to behave horribly. You give them an inch and then they start to take that mile. As Fallout likes to say, war never changes. It's always the same bullshit. And then, I think I'm going to end on this. And I can't quote it exactly, but in the television show MASH, old school show, great show, hilarious, but often poignant. Hawkeye, one of the main characters, surgeon, talks about how, well, he responds, I think, to somebody saying war is hell. He says, no, war is war, hell is hell, and war is worse. And I believe he was talking to, it may have been the actual, the father, the deacon of the of their MASH site, who may have said the original war is hell, and he's correcting him. But I know he continues to have the conversation with him anyway. He says, well, who goes to hell? Sinners. Sinners go to hell. Right. But not innocent women and children and innocent bystanders. But in hell, everybody goes. Everybody's in war, rather. In war, everybody's there. And he's right. War is worse than hell. Because the only people who go to hell are sinners. But the people who go to war, or have it brought to them, are all kinds, including those who are innocent, who have done nothing wrong. And they have to hear and see and experience some of the worst travesties that humans wring upon others. You know, I've got PTSD from my own situations in life. Zip. Oh, something to zip that one. We used to call PTSD shell-shocked. And I remember George Carlin making fun of the idea that we've changed it to PTSD, to post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like, well, it's a bit more descriptive for one. And it's not just for people who went to war. It's for anybody who experiences similar types of symptoms. PTSD is paralyzing. You know, I've never gone to war, but I don't really like fireworks anymore. And there's a reason why many other politicians don't want to act violently automatically. Because they don't want to contribute. And so it may seem like a weak approach to violence. But the first step is to try to get the violent offender to stop through other means, so that you are not part of the problem. And sometimes it just means saying, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. Have fun.